very passionate about her undergraduate and definitely the postgraduate students. And I want to thank you for taking them sometimes from the undergraduate level to change their mindsets right up to a fourth year level. Welcome.
Thank you. And good morning. I'm very nervous, so I will try to speak very, very slow. I have to acknowledge that this work that I'm presenting here was co-designed with Rita Boltman during my pilot phase of my PhD study. What I will do this morning, I will focus primarily on the design of the service learning module. And specifically, I will focus on the reflection, because reflection is regarded as the hallmark of service learning. And then lastly, I will also conclude with a few lessons learned during the process. HEIs are mandated by the HQC to integrate service learning in their core business. However, we are the people who are supposed to create for our students an enabling environment. And because the School of Nursing did not really have a formalized structure to integrate service learning, I chose this topic for my PhD study. So as part of my intervention model, I developed a service learning pedagogical model for the fourth year students. And in 2012, this was piloted with the fourth year nursing students in semester 2. And the design focused primarily on teamwork and collaboration amongst the clinical supervisors, the academics, as well as the service partners and the nursing students. In terms of the design of the service learning models, what we have done is we have embedded the service learning activities in the core of the curriculum. We didn't do it as an add-on or as an extra. In other words, it was part of the whole planning, the weekly program. And what we also did is, because we didn't want to introduce too many new things, we used the existing case-based methodology of the School of Nursing. And we just introduced or combined that with the service learning pedagogy. And because I've mentioned that reflection is key to service learning, we did a lot of planning around structuring the reflection, because this was actually regarded as either the factor that will either make us succeed or fail in this whole endeavor. And Aretha introduced blogging, and she was actually the driver for developing the blogging on the whole curriculum. The reason being is because it has potential to be transformational for the students in terms of their learning, but also for the educators. And we also took note that that Matembo and Mashali actually specifies that higher order critical thinking outcomes are best embedded in a community of inquiry. So we developed our interaction in small groups, because every class, we had 3 classes, and every class was divided in more or less 12 to 15 students. And every small group was allocated a supervisor to facilitate the reflection activities of the students. So they were compelled to do the weekly work as individuals, but also then to submit the individual contributions to their smaller group discussions online. And then we also have structured the weekly program that enabled them to submit their reflections online. So we had a structure every Thursday. It was allocated for service learning and gender-based violence. And we blocked out the whole day. The morning was set aside for the students the whole morning to be able to meet. And they were supposed to then have discussions in their small groups and then formulate a group response and post this to the group discussion forum for everybody else to comment on. And you're also giving them timelines. For instance, they were supposed to submit their submission at 1 o'clock. Because at 1, they were joined by the facilitators who were supposed to guide them using a specific rubric, or rather a model, because we used the GIPS model for them to structure their reflections. My mouth is running dry. But they were also requested to block not only on their reflective practice, that was the service learning model and their project, but also on the theory. So for every week, there were 2 components, 2 blocks, compulsory blocks. The one was about the reflective practice. The other one dealt with the theory. And we wanted the whole group to share with the others their understanding of the theory, around the theory. So after they've submitted their group formulation, the others were expected to respond to their posting. And that helped the academics to see whether they were really understanding the work or the depth of the work, or if there were any challenges. And we went a step further. In the afternoon, we also linked the facilitators with the small groups. And for the 2 hours, they were supposed to guide, but also not only guide, but guide and score using this rubric on the postings. In other words, we made really sure that the students knew what was expected. They were given a structure in which to submit their bloggings, and we also gave this tool to the facilitators to use as part to guide them, because, and I must state here also that this was a pilot, right? And although we were used to doing discussions, this was a transparent process. It was, I think, very threatening to the academics as well as to the facilitators, as well as to the students, because they were given marks for submitting their work timeously, looking at the writing standard, looking at the application, whether they really understood the issues here. And they didn't really want to go there, okay? And I think partly because students were used to working in a group, and during case-based, the bright sparks were the drivers of the whole process, and they all got the same marks. But because we used eCanva, we could actually see who submitted, what was the depth and the understanding of their contributions. And I think that was for them a bit too transparent at that stage. But anyway, at the end of the module, we did an assessment. And we used a specific tool. It was structured, and we used quantitative. But I also added some open-ended questions. And these are a few responses about what the students said about the module. They actually was, okay, maybe let me backtrack. The class was actually split. There were those who really enjoyed this methodology, and they felt that they can want to take it forward. But about, I think, 40%, quite a huge number, did not want to go there because it was time-consuming. They put in a lot of effort. It was very structured, and they simply said it was a waste of time. Okay, that's all the negatives about that. But in terms of the positives, and we choose to go with the positives, students really enjoyed it. They said it was really transforming their learning. They learned from others. They learned about themselves as well. And we also helped them to reflect on what they were doing. And because blogging was introduced as something new, some enjoyed it, and others who were not so much into technology said this was actually to them a very much of a challenge. But I think if I can maybe just give one word of wisdom. When you go into something new, make sure that you have your colleagues on board. And I mean the academics, number one. Because they can make or break any innovation, and they also influence the students. So I would advise rather spend more time in getting them on board then before you jump into this. 2013, I wasn't part of the team. I didn't do it. All right? I came back in 2014. We reintroduced it again. This year we took on board a new group of people, young ones. And the change is just dramatic. The students are positive. They enjoy the blogging, they enjoy the group work because we have actually now removed the negative voices. But it is a learning curve. And there were challenges in terms of the Canva platform. At times it was not really functioning optimally, but that is part of the process. And I think we need to really embrace this. The article was published because we hope to spread this word, and this is actually a new thing in nursing. So we will continue doing it. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you very much, Lisa. You highlighted the infusion of technology. What they were thinking about in service learning is not just an add-on. And thank you for highlighting the challenges. But I think I'm going to disagree with you. Gone are the days where we have to focus so much on the academics. The students are actually now, their voices are forcing lecturers to come on board and making our work easier as well. We actually have students that come over to the office. They are convinced that they have an online environment.